I think there's an important moment happening with the Utah Jazz right now. And I know we have a lot of Salt Lake listeners on this show, and we appreciate you very much. We talk a lot of Jazz. We talk a lot of NBA. Everybody complains we talk too much Lakers on this show.
Well, I'd be upset, too, if I was a Jazz fan, but the fact of the matter is the Lakers are the best team in the league, and we're going to talk about them.
Yeah, I think what is interesting with the Jazz right now is that I have been a long-time Rudy Gobert supporter. Mm-hmm. And once Rudy Gobert got his $200 million contract and he's averaging $41 million a year, I think expectations have to go up exponentially.
Yep.
And you're watching the NBA come back to Rudy Gobert now. Because if you follow me on Twitter, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and in case you haven't figured it out, you want to find me, just search The Monty Show. Somebody tell Jonathan Tarvanari that.
Yeah, don't spend 20 minutes on Google.
Andy B. Larson from the Trib has posted a bunch of videos of Jazz basketball. Andy does a great job. He's one of the best beat writers in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he posted videos of defensive sets from last night. And it's just a highlight reel of Rudy Gobert and Royce O'Neal getting exposed. And the high pick and roll with mobile big men in this league is not going anywhere anytime soon. And if you look at the trend towards power forwards playing center, whether that's Anthony Davis, last night in New York, it was Julius Randle. Rudy Gobert trying to guard a mobile big man is a joke. He cannot do it. Because what happens is a guy like Austin Rivers scores 14 straight points to seal a Knick victory last night. And the Jazz are not adjusting. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what you say to Royce O'Neal. Honest to God, Royce O'Neal, I just don't think he's good enough to play on a contending basketball team. Yeah. I really don't.
Yeah, this is two things. First off, you're totally right. Royce O'Neal is a guy who isn't good enough to play on a championship caliber team, even a contending team. You're totally right. He gets caught in no man's land way too often.
Constantly.
I think an important conversation within that, and it's not an excuse, but I think it is a reality for Royce O'Neal and what he's able to do is because Rudy Gobert is not mobile, it requires whoever is in the pick and roll situation with him to do more and to be more intelligent than they really should have to be in the situation.
That's right.
So Royce O'Neal gets hung out to dry consistently when he's playing with Rudy Gobert in the pick and roll because Rudy has no idea where he should be, it seems like, or he's just not quick enough to get to where he wants to go.
Rudy Gobert knows that he is getting exposed by big men that have a mid-range game. Mm-hmm. Julius Randle last night. It's a consistent problem. It is very different for Rudy Gobert to guard a Clint Capella or any of these guys that play with their back to the basket. And by the way, how many of those guys are in the NBA? True number fives, centers that post up on the low block. Where's today's Shaquille O'Neal type player?
Yeah, there's not many of them.
There's not. In fact, he might, and he's not even that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there is a pure post-up back-to-the-basket player.
LaMarcus Aldridge would be the only one.
And he's got a fantastic J.
Yeah, and his game. He's not the same as he was like 5 years ago, but he can still really shoot it.
That guy doesn't exist. Yeah. Is my point. And so when you're paying a guy $41 million a year, he needs to be more than hey, I got a rebound and dunked it home. He needs to be more than a clean up and finish guy. Mm-hmm. And Rudy Gobert's never going to be that. And the reason I bring this up again, and I'm truly not trying to be a jerk about this. If Rudy Gobert cannot guard the high pick and roll and defend the rim at the same time, why are you paying him $41 million a year?
Because you didn't have the stones to flip him the bird and say, we can do better. That's why. And that's just the truth of it. Because if you did have it, if you did have the courage, if you had the ability as an organization to say, okay, we talked to Quin, we've talked to our GM, we've watched the game tape, we understand what we don't have, we also understand what we need because we don't have it right now. Rudy Gobert is not what we need. Rudy Gobert is not what the Lakers have and why the Lakers win championships, as far as big men are concerned. That's why they signed him, because they said to themselves, hey, yeah, we're going to build around Rudy and Donovan, and it's going to be great. We've been to the postseason. We beat the Nuggets in that 7-gamer last year. Like, everything was fine. But it's not fine, because you're good enough to get to the postseason, and you're not damn close to being good enough to win a championship.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Real quick before we get to McDonald's chicken sandwiches, should Quin Snyder's job be on the line? I know this is a controversial topic, and I know that people are like, oh, look, another sports radio guy saying that they should fire a coach. Who knew? I don't say that lightly. He's in his 7th year as a head coach of the Jazz. He is a good NBA head coach. There's no doubt about that. But at some point, somebody's got to fall on the sword for the Jazz here. And you're not firing Rudy Gobert. You're not firing Don. Quin Snyder is on the hot seat. Whether you want to admit that or not, I am fully aware that there is buzz around this league that Quin Snyder's job is on the line if they don't pull out of this nosedive and do it soon. Because you're going to, where are they going, Milwaukee next, I guess? You're going to Milwaukee pretty much to die. Because if you go to Milwaukee playing the way that you've played against the Knicks and the Nets, I mean, you got embarrassed by a Nets team that didn't have Kevin Durant. You got embarrassed by a Knicks team who featured Austin Rivers. No offense, Austin. You're just Austin Rivers.
Yeah, so you got the Bucks tomorrow. You got the Pistons on Sunday, the Cavs on Tuesday, the Wizards on Wednesday, and the Hawks on Friday. And then you play the Nuggets next Sunday. So, you've got some good teams coming up.
How many of those games right now would you get? I would guess they win 2 of those games.
They'll lose to the Hawks. They'll lose to the Nuggets.
I think they'll lose to the Pistons.
They'll lose to the Wizards, and they'll beat the Cavs.
I think the Pistons and the Cavs are the 2 games, and I think they're going to lose to the Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be really interesting. I think if they do not pull out of this, I think Quin Snyder is at risk of not making it past the All-Star break.